Hello, you're listening to the HatchetJob.com gaming netcast with... for some reason, my voice always breaks when I say netcast. I don't know why. But you're listening to the HatchetJob.com gaming netcast with our 2011 UnCategory awards. And what this is that we do our game awards 6 months after everybody else, which gives you more time to play AAA titles released at the end of the year. And it's UnCategory because we don't have any categories, because the reason you may like something will be different to the reason I like it, and therefore trying to get you to fit your thoughts into a set category doesn't make any sense, so we just ask people to make up the categories. And I'm joined by Danjo Oliver.
Hello.
And Simplicitly.
Hello.
Lupus Umbris.
Hello.
Who all sound like lascivious carpet salesmen for some reason. I don't quite know why. And I believe that, Danjo, you are going to start us off.
This is only categories. It's better than what you said. It's the opposite.
Yes.
But to start us off, Kent Monkey has brought us this award category. The proof that sandbox sequels with repetitive missions can't match prequels designed around tight narratives with fantastic level design award goes to Batman Arkham City.
I agree with this. What happened was that I hadn't played Arkham Asylum and I rented Arkham City and my save game crashed and I wanted to play more Batman, so I went and played Asylum, and it is a better game. It just flows much better, it's better paced, and yeah, Kent Monkey has it completely right. Now, Sim, you're going to take us with the next man.
We also have contributions from Rusty M, the first of which is the Best Switch Simulator category, and for that he's nominated a game called DCS A10C, a game about the A10 Warthog ground attack aircraft, which obviously has a lot of switches.
Now, do any of you remember an Amiga kind of PC game called Falcon?
F-16 Fighting Falcon.
Yeah, like a sim game from the early 90s, late 80s.
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I must have got that when I was kind of on the cusp of high school, as it would be in America, and I used to think that I could actually, if I went and sat in one of these planes, I could fly it because I knew what the switches did.
Rusty M also nominates the Most Limbs category with the game Earth Defense Force Insect Armageddon because, ants have a lot of limbs, spiders are in there, and some of the mechanized enemies also had lots of legs.
Do you think there's anybody that is kind of an insect foot fetishist, so they just really like games with centipedes in?
No.
Rusty M also gives us the stupidest game mechanic that somehow doesn't ruin the game, and that goes to Driver San Francisco, where you play the demo, possibly, of Driver San Francisco and think, how on earth are they going to shoehorn in a mechanic where you can shift from any car in the city to any other car? It's just going to make it not fun and completely ruin the story. But actually, I personally think it worked out okay.
I'm not interested in the gimmick, but the hand movement on the wheel is the closest I've seen to kind of playing a game based on Bullet with Steve McQueen.
The guy actually smashes his hand onto the steering wheel to beat the horn as well. It's really visceral. Rusty M also gives us the Mad Max Award for Rage, the 2011 super shooter from ID Software.
Here we are. Here's a good award for Rage. The game that makes you feel like Krull goes to Rage because it has the glaive in it, which takes people's head off.
I'm for that.
Somebody should make a Krull game. And you can download bouffant hairstyles as DLC.
What, for the heads you're going to be decapitating?
No, for your hero.
Oh, right, okay.
Well, would you want to do that? Would you want to have different enemies have different hairstyles? And if you decapitate them, you get higher points.
Collect them all.
Well,
For a beehive or something.
collect them all, yeah, definitely.
That's Pokemon for balding men.
For those listeners that haven't seen Krull, just take it on faith that it was an excellent movie. Don't watch it. Don't
Yes.
do that.
From Mercy Mal, we get the category Game with the Most Interest Lost While Waiting to be Ported Over, awarded to LA Noire. And I had forgotten altogether that it had even been ported over.
Yeah, I can't quite understand why anybody would want to play that now. After hearing all the reviews about how wonky it is and how it looks like realistic faces with cardboard hats, I think Mal made the right decision.
If anything, the slow port time helped consumers here, right?
What, because they could learn to avoid it?
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Andy the Adequate regales us with the idea that the best game he thought was shit from the demo was Bastion.
I agree with Andy here. I played the demo, and it seemed like a very unremarkable 3D isometric kind of thing that people were ranting about for no reason. Although the gimmick of the commentary as it ran was interesting, but actually the game was, again, much better than the demo.
Andy the Adequate also says that the best multiplayer game that no one else bought was Backbreaker Vengeance. Now, if you haven't heard of this, you've almost certainly played it or seen it in action, because Backbreaker Vengeance is a kind of American football game where you have to make certain runs and jump over obstacles. But the thing that makes it special is that it's powered by, I think it's either called Natural Motion or Euphoria, which is a thing that was used in GTA 4, Max Payne 3, and Red Dead Redemption that gave all the NPCs realistic movement. I think Euphoria should be in every game. And I'd like to see it in Mario. I'm not quite sure how it would work in Pac-Man. So actually, Andy saying that makes me want to go and Backbreaker again. Can't you imagine GTA-style physics in Pac-Man?
Well, like the Euphoria, specifically animates the limbs.
Yeah.
And my brain didn't stop in time. It tried to look, what would that look like? And it's like saw Pac-Man. And then no difference. I'm like, oh. Dark Morgado brings us the game that managed to fix most of the problems in its genre, the genre being JRPGs, and that is Xenoblade Chronicles.
Zulu Hero gives us the shortest amount of time before full frontal nudity in a game, and that perhaps predictably goes to Witcher 2, possibly one of the only games of 2011 with full frontal nudity in it.
Is it male nudity or female nudity?
Female.
Bit of a cop-out then, isn't it?
Cock out.
Ho!
Hey!
There might be male nudity. I can't remember.
So isn't the rule generally that you have full frontal for women but only buttocks for men?
Well, I think like the third DLC for GTA 4 did not follow that rule.
Really?
I believe so.
Is that the Ballad of Gay Tony?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, at least there's kind of context,
Yeah.
which is important. So I know that, Danjo, you really like The Witcher. Would you give it any award apart from one celebrating its full frontal nudity?
Tremendous boost from the game before that, Witcher 1.
So the most improved sequel, then?
I can't think of something else that's jumped that far.
Let's see here. The next one comes from Mutler. Most embarrassment due to a low review score causing fan rage, yet playing the game revealed that the reviewers got it right. Uncharted 3.
Yeah, so this was given an 8, I think, by Eurogamer. And
that's tragic.
Yeah, and people went apeshit.
Is that a bad score?
Well, not to me, it isn't. But people went so crazy that Mega64 did a review, did a video about a reviewer giving a game a low score and then being beaten up by fans.
Okay.
And then we have King Edward, the world's most famous potato, saying, seriously, more zombies award goes to Yakuza Dead Souls. Yakuza is a Yakuza series where they decided to insert a zombie franchise game into it, or a zombie-style game into it. And Danja, you felt that King Edward kind of was covering too many bases with this.
No, I get it now. So, yeah, you'd think there's lots of games where you'd go, oh, God, more freaking zombies, right?
Yeah.
But now I get it, because now I remember that series is pretty serious and realistic, right?
There were definitely discussions after it was released where they said we didn't include this aspect of Japanese culture, and people went, well, the Japanese version has it. Do you not think it's, the Western audiences can't handle it, and whether that's hostess bars or whatever. See, it's
right. There's no zombies. It's like people and motorcycles and stuff. Like, it's very normal.
Well, we could think of the Yakuza lifestyle as an allegory about Robin Hood characters trying to stand up against the rising tide of salaryman zombies.
We could.
But we won't. Okay. And back to Japan, King Edward says that the worst Res impression award goes to Child of Eden, which is a hand-waving version of Res, which is set in the future internet thing. I don't know if he feels that it was bad because it was poorly implemented or because you don't really need to kind of remake a game like that.
Wasn't that kind of explicitly described as not an impression, but like a, not exactly sequel, but...
an homage?
Yeah.
What, so you think this is like Coppola now announcing they're going to do Raging Bull 2?
Well, didn't it have some of the same, like, the creative talent behind the same?
Yeah, it's the same dude.
Yeah.
Next award is Cloak engaged. Cloak engaged. Cloak engaged. Cloak engaged. Cloak engaged. Maximum armor. Cloak engaged. You probably know who won that award if you've played really either of the Crises. It's Crisis 2. And I have to thank Solid SCB for making that category because I really liked playing that game. So I'm glad it got a shout.
So are there only two things in two powers in Crisis 2? That's cloak and maximum armor.
There are 4 powers, but only 2 of them have announcements. No, actually 3 of them have announcements. The strength mode is the default one, so you never know when you're in strength mode because that's just kind of ordinary mode.
It'd just be a background, the narrator saying strength, 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 strength.
Well, as the award suggests, it can get pretty vocal when you're changing from cloak to maximum armor. And the other one is the speed mode, which you sometimes, maybe that should have been in the award title as well for when you're running away.
Just have a frequency of announcement tied to frequency of use.
I think the game actually allows you to you can choose between a male announcer, a female announcer, or just turn the announcements off altogether for those
Right.
actual things. So he's inflicted it on himself, really. Solid SCB.
Yeah, you can turn it off, and there's really no reason for any interface to do that, right? To tell you what you've just asked it to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think turning it off
There are
is the way
visual
to go.
cues and everything. So yeah. Trigger Happy Tell provides us with the Best Game That Was in Development for 12 Years award, and that, of course, goes to Duke Nukem Forever, a game with a slightly troubled development history, where some people started making it, then they stopped making it, they started making it again, they abandoned it, and some other people came along and rather kindly made it for them at the end.
You've basically just described surrogacy and IVF treatment.
Well, I'm sure it was a difficult birth on both accounts. I didn't play it because I have fond memories of the game that came before it.
I played it a little bit and was like, oh, well, this is just a terrible game. That was the end of it. Like, it felt like a game that didn't have 12 years, but more like, I don't know, less than half.
Is it like going to a high school reunion and then seeing people that you thought were cool back then and you realise they're not? Or they always were tosspots?
I never really thought Duke Nukem was very cool, so...
Didn't you?
No.
What kind of joyless existence did you lead, Danjo? The character was fantastic.
I was very snotty about games that were 3D but had flat people in them, like sprites. Right? If it was before Quake,
Yeah.
I thought that
Yeah.
looked stupid.
Okay. Trigger Happy Tell also gives us the Most Me Too campaign for Battlefield 3. This, of course, refers to the way that the writers of the Battlefield 3 campaign basically just transplanted what they did with Call of Duty and stuck it in their own game. I played it because the servers for the multiplayer were down in the early days, and I thought to distract myself from that, I'd played a single player, but I feel like those hours were stolen from me and I can't get them back.
So they stole the Call of Duty campaign formula?
From what I remember, I've tried to block it out. It was just explosions and the feeling I've been here before, and why are you putting this style of story in a game world that doesn't need it and has nothing to do with it?
That seems like a very odd thing to do because, I mean, obviously they want the money that Call of Duty gets, but does it get that money because of the campaign or the multiplayer?
Somebody must have thought so.
This is what it's like. Have you gone to a Chinese restaurant and seen people eating French fries with rice?
No.
In England, there's a certain type of person who goes to a restaurant of a deep, rich and complex food culture and then has chips with everything. Right? It might be tasty and some people may enjoy it, but it doesn't belong.
Trigger Happy Tale also provides us with the Worst Game That Was in Development for 12 Years award, perhaps unsurprisingly going to Duke Nukem Forever.
I was surprised.
Is it a shock?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many other games released in 2011 had their development started in 1999.
Chess.
Oh, yes, that game famously invented at the turn of the millennium.
Yeah, I wonder what would happen if Gearbox invented chess, what it would look like if it just went through all those stages.
I think it would have more guns in it.
And then when you took the king, you'd teabag him or something and make a really crude joke.
The queen would be topless.
I would play that chess.
Ren's 11 gives us the most totally radical game, Dirt 3, which... Yeah, the Dirt series has kind of gone through its phase of Mountain Dewism. of late. But
Why is Mountain Dew associated with extreme stuff in America? I don't really understand.
They want it to be. Like that's Mountain Dew's fault.
yeah, maybe it's just successful marketing on their part. But
Have you seen people actually going into a shop and buying Mountain Dew because they feel it makes them radical?
I mean, I don't know what their internal motivations are, but I steer clear of people that buy Mountain Dew just in case. That's
Wasn't it a gamer drink for ages?
a what?
A gamer drink? Was it kind of the kind of classic nerd drink?
Because of the higher caffeine level, yeah.
They're kind of trying to just ditch the core audience and go with these fickle teenagers.
Well, I think it just happened at first because of the caffeine thing, but
Yeah.
that makes less sense now because there's a lot more drinks available with a ton more caffeine. They're trying to hold on to that identity that they didn't ask for in the beginning. I'm glad we've gone down this road.
yeah, following that up, we have the most complete collection. Goes to Final Fantasy IV, the complete collection on the PSP.
I like that award because it shows that the Japanese really like to be accurate. And it also, I think, it's kind of interesting how we have a trend for modern games to have special editions which never have actually any sense of completeness to it because the games these days are all about DLC. Next up, we have Aphides or Aphides, who says the award for most backwards flying dragons goes to Skyrim, which is a wonderful bug that I believe you encountered, Danjo.
Oh yeah, I think it was relatively common there for like in between two updates.
Yeah, they patched it in, didn't they, this feature?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Actually, it was infuriating because if they're flying backwards, but they're supposed to be attacking you, that means they're going away from you into the sky. And if you want their delicious bones, that's a bad thing.
Did you ever see anything interesting with them flying backwards, or functionally there's no difference whether they're flying forwards and blowing fire or flying backwards?
Well, the issue is that like their goal is messed up. So they'll fly like backwards in a spiral until they become a speck and disappear into space. Thanks, Aphides, for that award.
Yeah. Aphides also says that the most overly complicated fighting game is Dissidia Final Fantasy 012. I watched a video of this, and it's this kind of... The level seems set in space with two people flying around, and all these weird, almost biblical terms appearing on the screen, along with quick-time events and numbers flying everywhere. And finally, he gives the shortest time between cash-grabbing updates. That is 10 months between games to Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and then Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And Lupus, you and I both had to deal with this, didn't you? And I chose not to buy the update, but you did.
And have yet to play it, I think, yeah.
Was it full price?
It was kind of in between, so it was tantamount to admitting that the game we released the first time, it wasn't balanced properly, and the mechanics didn't work properly, and we shouldn't have done it, so buy a brand new game. And, 12 months maybe, for some reason those extra 2 months make a difference, but 10 months, it just totally felt like taking the piss. And also, I didn't know then if they would release a third version. And if I could give my own award based on what Aphides said, the game that made me distrust Capcom is Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So if I get Capcom games from now on, it'll be Games of the Year only, I think, pretty much.
The ultimate Games of the Year, right?
Ultimate, yes. Complete collection, Ultimate Games of the Year.
Director's Edition. Yeah, I'm here to ring in Rubed's category, which is the most effective constipation relief game. And that would be Amnesia: The Dark Descent. I've only ever seen this like on YouTube videos where people are playing it and they're screaming a lot. And if you look at what's happening on the screen, you're like, that's not scary at all. Why are you screaming so much? But I guess you got to be in it.
Is it kind of gaming's Two Girls, One Cup?
That's what it looks like, but I think the deal is like you have no offensive capabilities and you have limited resources with regards to light.
Right.
And I think your character's going insane as you play it.
TrueHeart78 gives us several nominations for Saints Row the Third, those being an award for the best nude fighting simulator, another award for the best wrestling game, and an award for the best button names, the awesome button and the groin punch button. Saints Row the Third, a surprisingly enjoyable contribution to open world thingies.
If I was going to give this an award, I think it would be the game I was most looking forward to until they announced 40 weeks of DLC award.
Yeah, and I think most of that DLC turned out to be not of the highest quality. Yeah, I think it was one of these games that had a season pass, wasn't it, where you could save money by buying everything in advance. And unfortunately,
Special edition.
yeah, most of it turned out to be not worth the money you would have, not spent on it if you hadn't bothered. And I think the stuff they're releasing now, I think the DLC they're releasing now, I think Forza did this as well, didn't it? Where you kind of have a limited time for the DLC which you have paid for is free, and then after that they charge you for it.
Aaron D gives us most popular / irritating gaming meme of all time. Award goes to Skyrim.
Someone stole your sweet roll.
Nope.
That's what we're going with, right? That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Moving. I don't know why that took off. It did. Moving swiftly on.
I never heard it. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that in the game.
Seriously?
Then again, I block out everything most NPCs say anyway, so.
That'll do it. Yeah.
I think that Skyrim should have won the award for the worst Arnold Schwarzenegger impression by NPCs.
Was it something to do with the guys who cut down the trees? Get to the chopper!
Oh, God. That's terrible.
Brilliant.
God. Moving on. Juve3nol has brought us the category Most Homoerotic Title Contraction. Ass Bro. That is my favorite category for the whole show. I didn't even know what it was talking about because all I could think of was that there was a game called Ass Bro. And I played this one. So
It's a good game.
Yeah.
Mutton Chop gives us the best use of Bonnie Tyler in a video game soundtrack. Another award for Saints Row the Third. A couple of praises for Saints Row the Third for its music actually this year. I guess they've actually improved on their Take on Me exclusive in the first game where the guy taps along to the music and made great use of the 80s.
Which song is it? That Total Eclipse, Bonnie Tyler?
That's what my memory tells me it is. No, it's I Need a Hero.
Okay.
Demi X gives us the Space Award for being the best at space at a Portal 2.
Now, isn't the space ball from Portal etched into a NASA project?
Or maybe it's photoshopped. Maybe we're just buffoons. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it is. It's apparently it's bolted on a panel bolted onto the Japanese HTV-3 resupply craft and hurled into space. That's pretty damn cool.
Space.
And that was Nolan North as well.
Was it?
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why?
Next up, we have most explaining to people that the last couple of Sonic games haven't been that bad. No, really. Sonic Generations, surprisingly, goes in the Sonic the Game category.
I have no interest in Sonic games, but I'm kind of glad that there's a not bad one. Okay, and Mavericks says that the most onomatopoetic title acronym is Codblops 2, which always sounds to me like something that children would say when they have a tummy problem. Mommy, I've got Codblops.
Mommy, I've got Codblops too.
Brilliant.
Oh, dear.
Banjo.
Resi brings us the category Most Destructive Freedom for Minecraft, which I think we all have to agree with, right?
Yeah. Of course, it's also interesting because it is the... before we came on, we kind of thought, is that 2011? But yes, it was actually officially released in 2011. It stopped being a beta. Yeah.
Resi also brought us a category that is the most entertaining random encounters in an open world setting. That also goes to Driver San Francisco. And I think he's referring to, like, when you pop around, you get a bit of conversation that particular driver was already having.
Absolutely. You drop into the middle of domestic arguments or discussions about crimes and other things that are really, really well crafted. Tanner, the driver who features in all the driver games, is obviously a kind of relatively straightforward, somewhat cynical policeman. And he attempts to ad-lib sometimes in these conversations because his silence would obviously be noticed by the people who were sitting next to the body he just occupied. So there were some good laughs to be had by his replies. Tanglebones provides us with the game you're most likely to sheepishly admit enjoying, and he awards that to Dragon Age 2, which I don't think everyone liked.
I don't quite understand why Tanglebones would have enjoyed it. Did anybody here enjoy Dragon Age 2?
No.
I did.
Never show your face at this door again.
It had problems, yeah, but I found it enjoyable.
What's the thing that you enjoyed most about it? Just one more thing. Or it was just kind of like a decent, like an okay sandwich.
Yeah, like an okay sandwich, like a halfway decent milkshake.
Yeah, Dragon Age 2 gets the award for food that has not gone bad.
Tuffalo Buffalo gives us the most shameless use of sex in advertising for Catherine, which, yeah, that is pretty much straightforward teasing sex scenes and stuff. And it's sort of a puzzle dating game.
Do you think the weirder a game is, the more you have to use that kind of stuff to get attention?
This struck me as like the brainchild of probably an individual, like in an artistic kind of way, that thought this was the game, and then the sexiness were somehow like commenting on each other, and then a company saw it and was like, oh, really push the sexy side to sell it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's actually the case. That's just the vibe I got.
Mavericks gives us the game most likely to induce a homicidal bing, 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 your batteries are running low, bing, 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 rage. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, which presumably uses up a lot of batteries with all that waggling and waving.
Yeah, that's one of the things that killed me about Wii games, where there's a controller that you can buy, the classic controller, and you can also get joysticks for the Wii. They both have to be plugged into a Wiimote. So even if you want to use a wired controller, it uses batteries.
Genius.
Is that the case for all, third-party versions of those as well?
Who buys third-party stuff, man? Do you buy generic cereal?
Okay, what about the controller that you got with Xenoblade Chronicles if you bought the expensive version? Does that have to plug into a Wiimote?
Yeah, it does.
That's just nuts.
Chumpy McChump gives us worst marketing hiding a good game, Bulletstorm. Kind of had the whole shit, yeah, let's go kill them all kind of thing going, didn't it?
Yeah, even the demo had that, really. It seemed really sweary when I played the demo.
Did it get somber after that? And we just
well,
don't know.
Not exactly
the
somber,
marketing worked?
but the percentage of swearing to game was reduced way more in the actual game. And it was a good game.
Huh.
And actually, we also have another award which arrived late, which is from Ren's 11. It's the most cuntish fuckfest of pointless swearing. Captain Domano, game and nothing at all like the trailers advertised, but still decent, is Dead Island, which of course in the trailers was all about a family trying to save their daughter from zombies, and they are attacked in the room, and the daughter turns into a zombie, and then she falls out of a window in slow motion, and it's all very, very poignant.
It doesn't happen in that order either. It's filmed backwards.
I think it's filmed both backwards and forwards.
Oh, is it?
And then the two timelines meet at the end. It's extremely somber and like, oh my god.
Piano
and then
music.
You play the game and you're like, it's be fun, but it's a little goofy.
Yeah. Sim, you had an award for this, didn't you?
Yeah, we had the Leg Sweep Award for Dead Island because all the characters perform the most amazing ninja kicks and comedically can do them very quickly, repeatedly. So if you're playing in co-op, there's laughs to be had just from jumping up and down in small rooms and kicking. It's a great game.
It is a great game, and when I said sweep the leg, I was thinking of something different. I was thinking of the fact you could knock individual limbs with a control system, and then the zombies would keep on crawling towards you.
Oh, I thought you meant the amazing high ninja kicks.
No, why would you do an amazing high ninja kick when you're sweeping the leg?
I just thought you were being vaguely inaccurate.
Though sometimes the zombies do handstands, so you can do both.
Do they?
No. Okay, so John brings us the award for Best Running on the Spot, and that goes to Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together.
Yeah. So this is a JRPG where in the battle scenes, it's all grid-based and there's no kind of real-time movement as such. Everybody runs on the spot constantly, which I find really weird. Inspired by what John said, I would like to award Tactics Ogre, although I haven't played it, the Galactic Ennui Game, otherwise known as Sad Fish Award, because it reminded me of a trip to the London Aquarium, bit dilapidated, and there was a child vomiting outside. And I went in and they had this kind of display which had daubed on it, Ride the Waves, and it was basically fish on a treadmill. And I just thought these poor creatures just going nowhere endlessly for the amusement of people looking on.
I bet they love it.
Right, shall we go on to mine then? Or does somebody else want to read it?
Go for it.
Okay, I would like to award the I Bought It for the Box Art award to A Few Acres of Snow. This is a board game and it's about the English and the French fighting over Canada. And I saw a banner advert for it on a website and I thought the art was fantastic and the font was fantastic. And so I decided to buy it based purely on that, without even knowing what the game was about. And I haven't done that since I was a kid, because I'm sure, and I'm sure you guys can remember as well, when you used to walk around shops before we had the internet and you were trying to judge how good a game was just by the art on the back.
Oh, that burned me a lot. Is this the thing with the dude in the snowshoes?
Yes, it is.
That's pretty cool looking.
It is very cool looking, and it's by a good artist. And it'd been years since I had thought I wanted to buy a game because of that, and especially a board game. Because, board game illustrations, while they're competent, they're often kind of really, really misleading. Because, of course, you cannot have an action scene replicated when you're moving little pieces around a grid. But actually, A Few Acres of Snow, which is a quote from Voltaire about, I think, the Canadians wanting, or the French fighting for a few acres of snow, it matches the theme, it matches the artwork, and yeah, I'm happy with my decision. Another award I have is Richard, it's the laggiest game I've ever seen, aka the I No Longer Trust Devs Award, and that's going to Brink. And Brink was a shooter which showed great promise, and it was the first game where I had a chance to ask questions of the devs over Twitter, the designers, and they responded, and they were straight in their answers, and I spotted something that looked like a bug in an advert, and they said, yes, it is a bug. And so I bought the game. And it turned out it was broken on launch, incredibly laggy. Richard, it's the laggiest game I've ever seen, is actually something I said to the designer over Twitter. And at that point, I thought these guys who were honest with me and trying to do the best that they couldn't actually tell me what was happening with the game. God knows what devs who aren't invested in being helpful are going to be like. So now I just don't trust devs anymore. So whenever I see videos with people saying, we're going to put this in the game and that in the game, or this feature, I just ignore them.
Seems prudent.
Yes.
Trust me, no one else.
Does somebody else want to read the Killing Goodwill, or shall I do that one?
Yeah, I'll do it. So the last Yidgaf category is Killing Goodwill, which goes to Battlefield 3. Because he loved it, but then they started selling unlocks for items, and really just shining light on that there's no gameplay reason to have any kind of unlock system. And if you can skip that, then that really points that out. Which that rings true to me. I mean, I've ranted about that crap forever.
Okay, what are your awards, guys, to wrap up?
I had the Let's Change the Terms and Conditions award, and that goes to Test Drive Unlimited 2, a game which was supposed to be an improvement on its predecessor, Test Drive Unlimited. They had Day 1 DLC, one of our favourite things in the whole world. In this case, it was a casino island where you could go and gamble for extra money. And following the standard Xbox Live terms and conditions, it was supposed to be, download one unit, and any player who could play on that particular Xbox could also have a go at the DLC. But that wasn't the case. It was essentially locked to one gamer tag. And it was broken. I mean, the game was broken, the DLC was broken, the whole thing was horribly broken, and I still played it.
Danjo, anything?
Nothing deserves any awards this year. Maybe it's just me, but it feels like my playstyle has shifted away from play a lot of things. Instead, it's like a lot of Skyrim, a lot of Minecraft. So it's harder to compare and contrast.
You're becoming casual.
Perhaps.
No, he's just hardcore to a more select number of titles.
Yeah, I like it. Any sum up on 2011 or not, as a way to end it?
It was the year that should have been followed by another generation of consoles.
And so we come to the end of another show. Now, if you sent an award in, but it didn't appear on the show, please accept my apologies. And as a way of explanation, we did read and discuss all of the awards, and we appreciated all of them, but for various reasons, a few didn't make it in. Now, if you want to send us your questions or comments, email us, hatchetjobshow@gmail.com. We are hatchetjob on Twitter. On YouTube, we are hatchetjob.com, so DOTCOM, and search for Hatchet Job on iTunes. And because we release so infrequently, if you enjoy the show, that's probably the best way to keep up to date with what's going on. Now, all the music in the show was from a website called incompetech.com, so if you want some royalty-free music, I recommend that. We're going to play out with a track that was kind of wended its way to me via Twitter and a user called Tracalio, and this is Candy in the Sun by GOTY. So that's it from us. Thanks for listening, and remember to do your own research and draw your own conclusions.